So, you want to learn how to format text and other content in cells in Excel 2007. Well, let's look at this worksheet and see what we can accomplish. We'll follow these one at a time. It turns out that in Excel we can bold, italicize, and underline just like we do in Word text. And we can do individual words within a cell to be underlined and italicized. And that was a double click. We'll italicize that just like we'd expect. We can also change the font and size. I'll change this to Times New Roman. Seems like if I enter a T, I should be able to jump to Times. There's Tahoma, Times New Roman, and size 14. We'll change that to 14, and it's ready to go. In line 3, we want to change this format of this cell to currency. Well, fortunately for us, currency is a quick icon on our ribbon, but we can also find that we can change it to a number of types in the dialog box. And we can open this and choose different dialog box or boxes. But for us, this cell simply needs to be currency, so I'll use the quick one that's on the top of the page, currency. When it comes to formatting percentages, I recommend that you always click % before you type the value. Because we've entered this value as 0.25, we can simply click the % icon on the ribbon, and it is set as %. It looks like in instruction number 5 we need to decrease the decimal by 2 places. Well, we don't want to change its value, and I want you to notice here in the formula bar that the last 2 digits are 26. If I were to decrease the decimal using this quick icon, the value displayed will be reduced, but the value, the underlying value, is still the same. Instruction 7 would have us to change the color of the cell B18 to light blue. Let's go to B18, we'll select it, and find the paint bucket, which changes the background colors of our cells. We can change it to any of these colors in the palette. We can also open up more colors and choose from the expanded palette or custom colors and get just about any shade, almost any shade of color. But we're going to use a standard palette, so we'll change this to light blue, and there we are. Let's continue our formatting by looking at instruction number 6. Place borders around the cells B14 to 15. Well, first we have to select B14 and 15, so that'll be these two cells. And now we'll place borders by using the border tool. I can open up the list box for borders, and I can see all kinds of patterns that I can use. If I wanted to have borders around every cell with inside a range, I would use this one, all borders. But this instruction was to just simply put cells outside the borders, so I'll click outside borders. Now, had I wanted to put borders elsewhere, I could simply just click this, and that choice, outside borders, would already be ready. But let's move on to instruction number 8. Set the row height of row 1 to be 20. Well, row 1 is here, and if I select it now, I can see that its height is 15 or 20 pixels. Don't be confused, row height is still row height. And if I scroll down and pull it, I can go to 19.5, 20.25. It turns out that 27 pixels is 20.25. If I really want it to be 20, I have to right-click the row height, go to row height, and set it literally to be 20. And I'll do that. So now it's done. The next instruction, instruction number 9, is insert a row between rows 9 and 10. Now, it turns out when you insert a row, you want to make active or select the row in front of or below. So I'll choose row 10. I'll right-click, click Insert, and my row shows up there. I could have inserted a row also by using the toolbar. Insert a row, and it would have been the same thing. We'll continue with instruction 10. I'll scroll down a little bit. And instruction 10 would have us change the colors of the worksheet tabs to different light colors. Well, we can do that simply by right-clicking on the tab and choosing tab color. And I'll choose blue for this one. Right-click, tab color, yellow for that one. Right-click, tab color, and red for that one. There, that's done. Instruction 11 suggests that I create a new tab and name it first. Well, fortunately for us, there's this new tab icon at the edge of the tabs. I click it once, I have a new tab, and I'm to name it First, F-I-R-S-T. Oh, by the way, to do that, I can simply right-click and click on Rename, or if I double-click a name, it will let me change it. Let's continue on with instruction 13, and that is to name the cell C9, or rename the cell C9 to Bob. I'll scroll up to and select C9. That happens to be where our value 25% is. If I go to the name box, I simply need to just select the existing name and type the new name, Bob in this case. I'll press enter, and now that cell is Bob. Notice what happened to this cell. Before it had an unfinished value, but now it's 100. If I look up the underlying formula, which you don't necessarily need to know, it says that the contents of this cell will equal 400 times Bob. Well, 400 times 0.25 is 100. The last thing that we need to do is instruction 14, which is to move or rearrange the worksheet tabs. So it looks like we want to have the last to be on the far right and probably the first on the far left. So let's do that. We'll put last on the far right and first on the far left. And I think we're done with this page.